Hello and welcome to our Friday webinar. Today we are back on with Lisa Bono. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, thank you.
And we are going to be doing home for the holidays, pet bird safety tips. So this is definitely the time of year is going to be coming up way quicker than everyone always imagines every time. It's like, is it already November? So holidays are fast approaching. We already got through one of them, Halloween. Hopefully everyone got through that one safely with their parrots, with chocolates, and just even having them scared with costumes and stuff. So so welcome everybody. And Lisa, we have another presentation from you today, some slides that you're going to show us. So let's see here. Let's give people a little bit of time to log on. Hey, I just noticed that you've got that great African gray artwork behind you there. Is that by a particular artist, or?
That was done by somebody on my African Gray page on Facebook, and it was a donation to the Alex Foundation for one of the fundraisers that I did for them. So it's kind of highest bidder went in, and luckily it came home with me.
Nice. That's beautiful.
Thank you. So it is one of a kind, and that's why I kind of use it in the webinar itself as the start page.
Okay. Yeah, it was not too long ago that you did that fundraising webinar for the Alex Foundation. So just that's a reminder that they're definitely an organization that you might want to look into. If you're doing any charitable donations, the Alex Foundation is one that definitely is a part of the bird community. So
yes, and I've known Irene since probably about 2002. And so we've done quite a few fundraisers. When I was in Barnegat, New Jersey, she would come down to the store once a year, and we'd have a nice dinner with all my, clients that wanted to come and lecture, and did a silent auction. So it's a very good organization to look into and support.
Great. All right. And then also, if we have time for any questions today, just a reminder to use the Q&A button for our people who are joining us today, our participants, and use the Q&A button. But I think everyone who's been on with us for a bit now probably knows that already. So let's and welcome anybody who's new. That's what so use the Q&A button and not the chat feature. All right. So I think I'm gonna hand it off to you, Lisa, and we'll get through this important safety tips for the holidays. There we go.
Okay, sounds good. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining in today. And we are going to talk about different things we need to watch for the holidays. There are some important things. I know we just passed Halloween, so I'm going to touch that at the end, but a lot of this can go through different holidays that you can use the information for. So this is part 6 of the Gray Way series, and thank you for being here. Let's see if this is working. Okay. First thing we think about right now, this time of year, is Thanksgiving, and that is my Sterling, and no, he's not wearing a hat. That is an app that I was able to put it on him. First thing you think about with this time of year, obviously, is cooking. Now, that is my husband. He is in charge of cooking anything that has bones in this family. I won't cook turkeys or chickens or anything like that, so it's his job. That's our old place in New Jersey, and boy, do I miss that house. So the first thing is the foods that we're going to go over, and while you may not need a reminder, your guests may. So if you have somebody coming over your house, there might be some things you want to discuss so they don't walk up to the cage and try to sneak some food in. It's fine to give your friends a special treat, but stick to the things that are safe for the birds. Now, some of this stuff you're going to see down in the corner. I got the information from Small Animal Medicine Surgery, and they are in Salisbury, North Carolina. Some of the foods that you want to go over with your guests, if they're going to be anywhere near your birds or staying at your home, are the dangerous foods such as garlic, onions, scallions, chives, avocados, chocolates, caffeine, alcohol, and anything that contains xylitol. Now, I probably said that wrong. I practiced it, but anyway, ask your vet for more information on the safe and unsafe foods. That xylitol is a natural occurring alcohol found in most plant materials, including fruits and vegetables. It's extracted from the birch wood to make medicines. Now that has a sweet taste, and that's why animals in general are drawn to it. Now, if you'd like to give some safe stuff, here is some info from Dr. O, who is our fabulous doctor, and she's been on here quite a few times. Pumpkin is going to be one of the best things that you could offer during this time. I've actually gone to some stores and looked for frozen chunked pumpkin during other times of the years to put into my mash. It's got the phytochemicals found in pumpkin may favorably affect insulin and glucose levels in laboratory diabetes models. It contains excellent sources of polyphenolic flavonoid compounds such as A, B, carotenes, cryptozapine, lutein, and zeaxanthin. The vitamin A you need for the lining of the respiratory tract, intestinal tract, and grays are known to have issues, so this is a wonderful thing that you can add into their diet. You can refer back to this at the end. You'll be able to review it again if you want to take any more notes so I can get through it. Pecans or pecans, depend on where you live, is how you say it. They are actually very good. They have selenium, which helps with eyesight, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and iron, and the B complex. Sweet potatoes. This is pretty much a staple every time I make a mash. They're high in calcium, folate, potassium, beta-carotene, and vitamin A. They're one of my favorites. I know my birds like it. If someone's trying to convert their bird over to eating vegetables, this is probably one of the first things I always tell them to try. I always cook mine. Part of the reason I use it is because it's supposed to be an anti-inflammatory as well in the nerve tissue and brain tissue in the body. Green beans, well, they're not really a fall vegetable. They are excellent levels, contain excellent levels of vitamin A and other things that are great for our birds. They're safe. This is what your guests can offer, and you don't have to worry. Now, some of these are kitchen dangers. The first one is oven bags, and while they do not contain Teflon, the danger is in the melting of the product, which is usually 500 degrees and above, which they say not to use. It's usually the burning foods in general that can harm your bird. I have not personally used this. There are different brands out there. When in doubt, I tell everybody, go with your gut. There are people that have used them. There have been some people that have had some issues. So just be careful whichever way you go, and always make sure you follow instructions. Any kind of non-stick appliances. You have your ovens, your grill plates, your electric pans, space heaters, your self-cleaning ovens. Of course, you know this is, pretty much in all our appliances. So make sure you never use a self-cleaning oven with the birds in the house. I actually have a manual clean oven for that very reason, so nobody else hits that button. Actually, underneath the burners, sometimes they're coated as well. The racks can be coated. There's a lot of different things you have to worry about. The best place for your bird when you're cooking or near the stove is actually going to be in the cage. You have the hot stoves. Your dishes will be filled with water in the sink. You have your bakeware, your nonstick cookie sheets, your cupcake pans, cake pans, etc. All your different pots, your frying and roasting pans, and air fryers. So be aware of what you're using so you don't have an issue. If you have guests coming over, and again, they're staying with you, and you have this stuff around, put it away, hide it, get it out of their view so they don't even know you have it, so there's no chance of them using it. Never use the slow cook liners for the crock pots because they do contain Teflon. Cooking fumes. While we enjoy them, they could be dangerous to the birds. Many modern cookware emit fumes and they are toxic. So review, ask questions. When you have every burner in a house going on, you have to take extra precautions to protect all your pets, especially your birds, from harmful vapors. So the rule of thumb is if you can smell food cooking, then you are damaging the bird's air sacs, especially a turkey cooking for hours. You're breathing in the oils. It's the burning of the food that is the killer. My friend Sharon and I went over this. I had some questions and concerns. She's done an awful lot of research on this. And she also said that if anybody has any questions, she's there to answer them. Always use a vent hood, preferably vented outside, because the inside ones, while a lot of us have it because we can't have the vent outside, you're just pulling the fumes and the smokes back in. There has been times here where I have had to throw open my windows and my doors and put all my fans on in the house because I did something wrong, and I have lung disease myself. So if it's bothering me, I know it's going to be bothering the birds. You have your open flames. It's a nice time of year to make the house look real pretty, and it's getting a little chilly, so you might want to have those fireplaces on. You know, people have the potpourri burners and the plug-in stuff and the essential oils that are going. All the fumes above, that I mentioned are of concern. If you have an open fire, nothing good can come from that. Your bird should not even be anywhere near there. If you want to make your home smell nice, get a bird safe candle. I have not done that. My go-to for 30 years has been boiling. This little article says some cloves and cinnamon. I've done that. But my favorite is the picture that I have right there. It's going to be apples, cinnamon, and a little bit of vanilla in that pot. I'll usually get 2 days of that going, and it smells heavenly. Other pets that people may be bringing to your house when they come and visit. I'm allergic to other animals, so no one comes here with a dog. But if someone is insistent on bringing their dog, just keep your bird away. And a very important thing is to think about is to make sure the dog stays away from the cage. If you have to put up a baby gate instead of closing a door, do it, because there have been instances where the birds have been on the cage bars and the dogs grabbed their wing or their leg, and it's not pretty. So I can't insist enough to keep the dogs or cats or visitors that aren't used to your household away from the cage. Now, your guests really aren't an issue. They're probably not going to harm your bird knowingly, okay? But you do have concerns that you might have to think about. Do they smoke? Don't let them smoke in the house. Do they wear perfume? It bothers me. It's going to bother the bird. Hairsprays, any kind of sprays are not to be used in my house. So if somebody has spray on deodorant, guess what? They have to go outside and put it on. I've been a little bit stringent through the years, but it's worked for me. And I let everybody know that staying here, you can't do this, this, this. And if you do, go outside. Another thing to think of is if they're leaving the doors open while they're going in and out, or windows open, make sure you print yourself out a little sign, put it on your doors so they know to keep them closed. And you could put something like Polly's out, check around. We are flying, anything like that, just so it's head height. So they have to look at that every single time they go in and out so they know to look at the birds. And also medications. You see, that's my Sterling down there. That is an empty bottle that I washed out, and I put pasta in there, and it keeps them entertained for about 5 minutes. But if somebody's not used to having a bird and the bird's fully flighted and decides to land somewhere on the table and there's the medication, again, a couple minutes, he's going to be in that bottle. So make sure they know to keep all that stuff away. And if the people are coming just for the day, again, consider keeping your bird pretty much away. Now, at my house, what we did was we built the bird room, and then we put French doors out to the bird room. So this way, if the birds are out, I can close that door and we can open an outdoor, to go outside. And also, I bought that little do not disturb because I've had quite a few people come over and visit, and they open the doors and go in. So that's kind of a nice little thing, stay out of my area. If you're putting your bird in a different area, make sure you watch for signs of stress. It may be something they're not really used to. If you know you have people coming over for Christmas and you're going to put the bird in your bedroom, maybe, take a little time to take the bird up there, getting used to it. Just don't put him somewhere and leave him, because he's going to be stressed out not knowing what's going on, because the routines are already being interrupted. Just, make sure you keep an eye on them, check, go in and see. If your parrot's social, you can introduce them to your guests. When people come here, I'll usually take them in two at a time and, go around to the cages. The birds are in their cages. I'll go around to the cages. I'll introduce them. I may make somebody take off their hat, their coat, their pocketbook. I'll make them step back. I watch the bird's body language. If the bird is comfortable, that's fine. If your bird is not social, then don't stress them out with bringing new people and new things into their space. There is absolutely nothing wrong with somebody saying hello from a distance or a doorway. Now we're going to get into Christmas. That is Abigail, and that is a very pretty tree behind her. And the reason I have that there is to discuss a little bit about some dangers. Now, she appears close, she is not. It's a real pretty tree, but I can tell you, I think I had sparkles all over the house because every branch there is covered in sparkles. I think I had sparkles for years. So these are some of my guys with their trees. I take pictures, I post them all over the place, and some make them into Christmas cards. Now, up here in the corner, you have Ollie. That's my husband's little kayik. That's probably the safest picture you're going to see right there. That's battery operated candles. There's nothing he could do to get in trouble. This is Sam. Again, all these pictures look like they're close to the trees, but they are not. The hazard here is right here. This is metal. I don't want her chewing on that. It has sparkles on it, so she's kept away. This is Sydney. This is in front of his tree. They have a tree in the room, which I'll show later on, which actually has plastic items on it, non-breakable stuff, in case it falls, limited sparkles. We'll get back to that. This is Sterling, and these are peacock feathers that were dyed. So that is that's safe, but again, he's not getting anywhere close to the trees. This is Emma. She's away from it because of these glass ornaments, and this ribbon here has sparkles. Sam's pretty good over here in the corner, but you do have this tree that's got this tinsel on it. So it's all little things you have to watch out for. This is Abigail. She's pretty good there. This is my guy. This was a Christmas card one year. Sammy again, has a lot of wood on this tree, but this has sparkles, and so does this. This is my fireplace. She's away from it because of the candles and the sparkles on it. This is an electric fireplace, gives off no heat. It's fine. And this is Emma near my crystal tree, just because she's so pretty and she needed to be right there for that perfect picture. So candles are very dangerous, and I see people all the time that are still using them. I'm not really exactly sure why. And some will argue that they're bird safe, or they don't give off, fumes, or, there's still going to be contaminants going into the air. And birds have delicate respiratory systems. Being exposed to smoke and open flames and a possibility of even beaking or swallowing the wax off a fake candle can cause devastating results. Now, this again is my mantle. I have a lot of different candles on there. They came from friends, and so they're part of me. They are either Mystique or Luminera. They are unscented, and the flames move, and they look really nice when they're on. I've had people go over and not realize they were not real. They're on timers, and I can keep them that way. Now, fireplaces and wood-burning stoves, you do have to be careful. It's important if you have a home with this, and that's the way that you heat your home, you have to make sure that your fireplace has been inspected and the flute's been and the chimney's been checked, and you keep the birds away. While this is a gorgeous picture, it's actually a screensaver, there's just way too much danger in there for a bird owner. So never use the fire starter logs or any kind of accelerant, because that is completely full of chemicals. Green wood is going to smoke more than seasoned wood. So if you have to spend a little more to get yourself some seasoned wood, more safe wood, that's what you have to do. Now we're going into the winter months where there's going to be power outages, and you do need to have a backup. Now, I've had birds for so long, and I actually lived in a log cabin on a dirt road, and our main source of heat was our wood burning fireplace. So we had to do a lot of maintenance on that to make sure that it was safe for the birds. And I always ran an air purification system. So make sure if you're using any of this kind of stuff, you do it with caution and you do it correctly. Christmas trees. This is something we all try to get up every year. I try to have one in every room of my house. And I have all artificial, just because I'm not going to go out and buy new ones each year. They're often, the real Christmas trees are often chemically treated while growing up until the time that they're cut. Some states have stricter laws with what is allowed to be used on them. Generally, they are safe if they're rinsed off, but know where you're buying your product from and don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're going to a mom and pop farm, which they had in my hometown, they could tell you exactly what they've been using and how it's been taken care of. I'm sure states like California might have something that's a little bit more strict than my home state of New Jersey. So make sure you always ask questions. Pine is considered safe for a bird, but be mindful that any sap produced by the tree can stick to your bird's feathers and is potentially dangerous. You also really don't want your bird chewing on the needles, as they can cause injury when ingested. Another important thing is to make sure you watch the water levels and change often. You do not want the tree drying out and becoming a fire hazard. You also want to make sure if you keep your tree up for a long period of time, that you're not growing mold in the holder or the trunk itself. And unfortunately, many years ago at my store, one of my clients did have an issue, and unfortunately it ended up being mold, and she lost a sun conure and an African gray, and they traced it down to the water and the trunk being moldy. Here you have some artificial trees. I tend to, on the left side of the screen is just a natural, plastic tree. That's usually what I have in my house. Not that I let my birds climb in it because it's pre-lit. You still have to watch the plastic if they chew it, if they have the fake berries on it, or if they have the acorns or whatever. The pine cones, you have to be careful because if they can chew it, they will. Now in the middle of it, middle of the presentation, you have the metallic tinsel. This brings back memories for a lot of us, age people. Grandmas had this, and it brings back some fond memories. You do have to watch with what the tinsel is made out of, and we'll get into that a little bit more. I would recommend, if you have that in your house, I would keep it away from your bird. And over here, the snow phlox, while it's absolutely gorgeous, I would be very careful with that because I don't really know what's on there. And while I would love to have one in the house, just with dealing with trees with sparkles, I can imagine with that white stuff coming off, the bird landing in it, that can't be good. So I would opt to stay away from that type of tree if you have birds, probably animals in general. And if you have one and you decide to use it, just make sure it's in an area where none of them can get to it. Now, these are some of my trees. And the tree all the way to the left, that is in the bird's day room. And as mentioned, you have a lot of ceramic, you have wooden toys I painted. These, the balls you see on there, they are non-breakable. They're shatterproof. So yeah, I have Alex Foundation ornaments on here. So if my bird was to fly into that, worst that's going to happen is the stuff's going to fall on the floor. Over here in the middle, that was my Christmas tree, my Christmas card last year. You can see that the tree is away, the Java tree is away from the tree itself, because this would be a disaster if they got into that, because there's a lot of crystal on there. So I keep them away. Now, this was a tree at my store. And again, here you have, this is one thing that I did, which I thought was pretty neat. And you could do it if you have a specific tree for your bird as well, if it's a 3-footer or a 4-footer. If you get light little toys, if you look down here, I decorated it with toys. So somebody can come and pick an ornament. None of them had sparkles. They were handmade. They can come and pick either a toy or a ornament off the tree. Some holiday plants are also going to be toxic and should not be kept around your bird. A lot of people do. Again, this is just a danger waiting to happen. We can't watch the birds if they're out 24/7, and it's something new, something shiny. They can get over and chew on it, and then you're going to have an issue. So if you insist on having this, look into maybe a fake one. Okay, or just make sure it's completely out of your bird's reach, because you'll be sorry if they get a hold of them. Now, some decorations that could be dangerous. You have to think about how old they are. Common holiday decorations can be toxic and are often made from harmful materials. Ornaments, you see them all over the place. You have your dollar store cheap ornaments that some of them are pretty, but you don't know where they're coming from. And then you have the old vintage, mercury glass ones. Again, they can cause an issue. So your birds don't know that this is not something they should get near. And so you have to take charge and make sure you know what you're putting up there. Ornaments from cheap materials may contain heavy metals. If your parrots chew on the ribbons or tinsels or ornaments, which can cause intestinal blockage and or lead toxicity. String and threads that are used to hang decorations can entangle pets in general, causing harm. Sparkles can cause internal issues. Glass can break and cause injuries. Vintage ornaments, like I said, contain lead. The way I look at it, if you can't chew it, I'm not going to allow my companion parrots to do so either. Now, I've spoken about sparkles before, and I'm a big sparkle fan, and I pay the price having to clean it all up later by mopping and 3-4 times. I would never take a vial of sparkles and eat them myself. So don't let your parrot near the sparkles for them to eat. That's not what it's made for, but it's going to be enticing for them. So be responsible and make sure that they're safe. And if you're using the tinsel like this, please reconsider. I'm going to have a talk with their mom and see if maybe we can move that tree to a different area or go with some other kind of decoration. But that is something to be of concern right there. Wires and added electronics. Unprotected cables from Christmas lights and special equipments, if you have the stand that twirls around, or you have the Dickens Village or anything like that, are a source of danger. Please check your wiring prior to use and keep an eye on it to make sure it's performing correctly. Fire calls increase this time of year due to poorly installed and faulty wiring. Exposed electrical wires can be of interest to curious beaks, so make sure they're inaccessible to your birds. If you have wires that you're going to have out, for instance, I have cage heaters on my cages right now in their bird room. And you can get PVC at any of the home stores. Go get PVC and you can run your wires through there and make it safe for everyone involved. So if that bird gets on the floor, if that bird finds something interesting, guess what? It's going to be PVC and not something to electrocute them. Fake snow in a can. This product always confused me. I don't know what it is. And I've always avoided it indoors. I don't even think I ever used it outdoors. But I would probably avoid this kind of stuff. It's going to give that flocking look again, and that's just going to make, a mess. First off, it's a spray. I don't do any kind of aerosols in the house. It's got to be hard to clean up. And I don't know exactly what it is. So if you can, just kind of avoid that. It's not something bird owners should use. Wrapping paper. If it's made by Hallmark and it's made with American pigments, it's probably okay, but you don't want your parrot to ingest it. Today's printing uses safer pigments for the most part, but we don't know where the products are being made and shipped in from. Instead of chancing it, I'd wrap them in brown paper bags to create foraging ideas for the bird to find them. If you purchase a toy and you want to wrap it, if you get a brown paper lunch bag, you can put the toy inside of it. You can get bird safe paper string that you can tie it and just hang it by its C-clip. That will give the bird a chance to forage for it. It's safe. The mess is contained. And, that's a good way of wrapping stuff. I've used paper towels. If I have a toy laying on the ground, if I have it on, say, the chair and they're opening it for their birthdays, I'll wrap it in paper towel and let them rip that open. Skip the bows and curly ribbons. They're usually metallic and have film on them. And again, if you want the bird safe material to make the rope, it's paper rope, and bird places will have it. Bird toy part companies will have it, and you can make your own paper bow. Now, I found this interesting when I was reading about it, and burning your wrapping paper. I've never did this, I've always thrown it out, but they were talking about the pigments, and they're usually safe, but when it's burned, it can change. If you burn it, you can create airborne particulates which are inhaled, which obviously makes a lot of sense, especially if you have some kind of metals or something in there and being heated up. So I would personally not burn wrapping paper. So we talked a little bit about decadent foods and overeating and dangerous kitchen items. Again, you want to keep it healthy. If you have people there, the list, you can refer back to it. Those are good things you can offer, and have your guests do it as well. Again, if they're staying there, you can review the beginning of the webinar. Keep it happy, keep it healthy. Now, these are some of the birds that were part of helping me with this webinar. And these are all pretty much safe little pictures here. Everybody's, you know, away from stuff that can harm them, and you know, they're cute. And a lot of this that we talked about today can really go to any holiday. We have Valentine's Day and Easter and birthday parties. Yes, I'm one that has birthday parties for my bird. And Sam and my husband are just days apart, so they get a little, you know, special cake over there. I'm not sure what my husband was doing, but I don't think Sam looks very thrilled with that. Then you have 4th of July. Again, you have more scary things with noises and lights that appear out of nowhere. This is actually with the picture of the fireworks. That's Emma sitting there with me. This was when we first moved in our neighborhood. We're not supposed to have fireworks here, but somebody missed that memo and fireworks were going crazy. So I stood in there with all the birds. I turned the music up and none of them had a bad reaction. So one by one, I would take them out and we would watch them. Now that appears to be close to the house, but it is not. That's probably on the other side of the river, but that's more scary things for the birds during the holidays, regardless of what holiday it is. Then we just passed Halloween. Yes, these are my guys. Yes, they're dressed up. Added concerns for Halloween is going to be open doors, scary costumes, possibly noises, and decorations. So again, precaution, and make sure you do your due diligence to keep them safe. Same thing with New Year's. You have your fireworks going off. You have everybody cheering in the middle of the night. Again, make sure your bird is protected from that. You know, if you have to have a party, maybe it's better that you might keep them up a little bit later so they're not startled in their sleep when everybody starts screaming. But if you can go somewhere else that's close that you can monitor, you're probably better off. Also, be prepared. Okay, I can't stress this enough. A lot of the vet offices are going to have limited hours during the holidays. Your most important relationship you have while you are a pet owner in general, especially a bird owner, is the relationship you have with your vet. So make sure you have everything posted and you know where to go. And in case of an emergency, if your back gets turned and something happens like we just discussed, and also make sure that you write down the poison control number. Hope you never have to use it, but it's there if God forbid you do. So this is a few more of my friends and their birds. And this is my little Sammy down here. She celebrates a little differently than we do, but her mom was of the Jewish faith, and we carry that on now that she lives with me. So most importantly, remember to be safe and enjoy your holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that's a lot to. There's going to be a busy season coming up for sure for a lot of people. So Lisa, we it looks like we're going to have some questions for you about. Let me see here. About the pumpkin. Going back to the pumpkin seed. So Nan wanted to know: does pumpkins need to be cooked before you offer it to your bird?
I've seen a lot of people give them raw, so I'm sure they're okay there. Otherwise, you'd have everybody else jumping on them. I always cook mine because while I've given it to the birds in the whole state, none of them really did anything. And I'm not sure if my guys are just too lazy, but I always end up cooking it and, you know, cutting it up, and then I'll offer it and then put it in their mash.
Oh, okay. And I guess if you bake some sunflower seeds or cook them, you can share them with your bird as long as you're leaving out the salt, because I know a lot of people like salt their pumpkin seeds. So maybe have two separate dishes, right? One for you, one for your bird.
Yes, and I actually cooked the seeds once, and it was such a hassle. I said, I'm not doing that again. So
yeah. That's true. I mean, it is kind of a messy procedure sometimes, and then sometimes you don't get a big yield for all that effort. But if your bird, if think about it, it's like a big bounty for your bird size wise. So just leave out salt. All right. And then someone else had a question about pumpkin. Bonnie wanted to know how good can you save the refrigerator, the guts of the pumpkin and the seeds? Like she wants to know about the stringy stuff and the skin too. Can you freeze it? So
I would think
have you done that?
Yeah, I would think you can, because I have bought chunked frozen pumpkin before. So, I don't really leave anything in my refrigerator more than 3 days. That's going to be my limit. And I'll usually divide it up after it's cooled off and put it in individual little bags or, Tupperware containers. And I have a section in my refrigerator that is just for my bird's mash. So I might cook that up and put that in there. And then a few days later, go in and make another part and add it in there. So it's kind of like a lasagna of all good stuff they can get into. Okay.
What about the pumpkin, like the pumpkin pie pumpkin? Like it's like sometimes it's the canned pumpkin flavoring. It's kind of like the mushy.
I did buy a can of it this week because it said 100% pumpkin. I haven't used it yet. I prefer the frozen, but it said it had no salt in it because I stood in the store aisle and read it. I will taste it before I decide to use it and see. So I can't give a definite on that just yet.
Okay. And then Cassandra says that, she lives in an old farmhouse with no AC, no heat source besides propane-fueled fireplace in the kitchen. There's a wood burning stove in the office, which is where she and her birds spend their days. Are these safe or unsafe? If not, any recommendations to keep my birds warm and safe? She's moving into a new home after winter, but until then, she wanted to get some advice from you on how to safely heat up her house with the birds.
I know there's always debate with wood burning stoves, but as I mentioned, as long as they're maintained and that bird is not, the bird in the cage are not right near it. That was our only form of heat all growing up. So, and I had parakeets and I had canaries, and I didn't have any canaries in the coal mine. So, but it was properly maintained every season. The gas or the propane ones, we did have one in our house in New Jersey. It was natural gas. And if it is vented outside, it is supposed to be safe. There could be issues with either one. It's all about the maintenance and using it properly. Now, I know when my husband would turn on our fireplace in the morning when we lived in New Jersey with the natural gas, when I got up in the morning, we had a 2-story house. That upstairs smelled different. I knew he had that fireplace on. So there was something that was in the air that I was not happy with. Everybody said it's fine, it's maintained, it's good, it's vented outside, but I knew when he had it on. So we didn't use it all that often. We did have to use it through Hurricane Sandy and Hurricane Irene. There are also oil-filled radiators that are supposed to be good. I think DeLonghi is one that I hear a lot of people use, but again, anything like that has to be off-gassed before it's brought in the house. We do have one here that we've used when we've lost power during ice storms in South Carolina because the world stops. And there are also cage heaters that you could attach to the cage. Now, if you contact me afterwards, I can certainly send you some pictures of the different products that are out there that may benefit. I do have them on all my cages because of it being all windows. So that keeps them kind of warm in their area too.
Okay. And Elizabeth wanted to know, can an asthmatic live with a gray? So if you have asthma issues or grays, it's a good question.
I am asthmatic. I've had asthma since I've been 5 years old. I also have lung disease. I have lung disease from being a manicurist for 19 years and sucking in all those fumes and dust. I have 5 grays. While some days can be difficult, you want to talk to your doctor about it. And there are medications that have worked for me, and it's important to do daily cleaning properly and have an air purification system. Without that, you're going to be miserable. So that's another thing we can talk privately about, to give you some options so you know that you're getting the correct thing for you as an individual.
Okay. You know, as far as feather dustiness goes, how would you rate grays, cockatoos, and cockatiels? Because those are, you know.
Cockatoos, number 1, no doubt. I cannot be around a cockatoo long term. We rescued a few when I had my bird club. I was kind of part of the adoption, so I would bring them into my house, and they usually ended up being with me for about 24 hours, and I was having a real hard time breathing. So you have your cockatoos, then you have your African grays, and then you have your cockatiels. I had 17 cockatiels at one time. I have 5 grays. They did not affect me the way one cockatoo does.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting experience with the 3 birds. I think those are the dustiest. I can't try and think of any others that are in that dusty group.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So sorry, Lisa, I did have a question for you, kind of going back mostly probably, I guess, to the holiday, like Christmas kind of decorations and stuff. You know, with African grays in particular, they have that reputation or that image as being like a little bit like questionable of things that are new to their environment, right? They might not like that so much. So maybe something to consider would be having the Christmas tree and the lights and stuff like around them at you know, all the like the flashing Christmas tree lights. Is that something you kind of should keep an eye on to see, especially if you have the tree housed in the same room that the bird typically?
Yes, usually I won't keep the lights on in the room, and it's never on the strobe effect. If it is on, it's just solid. I may have had it on for the picture to make it look pretty, but I don't want to call attention to them. In my living room, it is a light strobe effect, very soft. I have not seen any difference with their behavior. I could tell you that Emma is usually afraid of everything and acts like a drama queen. But once she's introduced slowly, instead of me walking, you know, within a foot of the tree, I'll stay 15 feet back from the tree. And I'll explain to her, you know, it's okay, it's safe. And we'll stay in that 15 range and we'll walk around it. Next day it might be 14 foot. Next day it might be 13 foot. So, and then by the time, you know, she's seen it enough, she ignores it.
I imagine it's the same with, you know, some of it come with like the musical bells and stuff that would probably, if they weren't used to it, might be a little bit disconcerting.
Yes, we had a big dragon out in our front yard for Halloween. And when I take the birds out in the morning, the girls were very interested in that big dragon outside. So instead of getting off of my hands and flying to the room, they wanted to sit there and look out the window and watch this thing. Oh. So that's the first time I noticed them ever wanting to do that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, and also just touching upon like what if you are hosting people in your home, maybe to print out like a little notes for your birds' cages, you know, that like kind of give your guests, you know, like please no fingers in the cages, or don't let the bird out, you know, all those kind of things, that so you don't have to tightly monitor as much. You can have the little index card of your bird's behavior on the cage itself if the bird doesn't eat it.
Right, I was going to say it's a good idea, but the bird might get a hold of it. And not only that, is I've learned a lot of people don't listen. They go in there and they go, oh, coochie, coochie, pretty little bird, want to tickle. And that doesn't end well. So I like to, if I know I'm going to have that issue, or if I have a lot of guests over, I'll just close the door and have that little do not disturb. Just, you know, you can put a note on the door into the room, or a note near, you know, where you're going into that room, and just tell the people to respect the birds. Don't go in, you know, because the birds are going to be freaked out, you know, and you can introduce them, you have a couple people there, you take them in, you slowly, and you tell the people, don't stick your fingers in there. But I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't leave it to an individual cage having a note on it, because people don't listen.
All right, that's a good point. Good point. Good point. Better be safe than sorry. So Lisa, so the next month in December, we're going to be back on with you. And you want to give us a preview of the holiday giveaway? Because I'm sure people are going to want to tune into that.
What we're going to be doing is we are going to be showcasing some of my little manufacturers. I have a lot of mom and pop, fantastic manufacturers that help me create holiday boxes for my clients. So they are sending up some toys, and we are going to go over what the birds like, why they like it, what to look for, what's good for what bird, what is not good for a certain size bird. And then at the end, our hopes are is for the lucky listeners, we're going to have some lucky prizes to be sending them of the toys that are sent in to me. So if you have a particular manufacturer you deal with and you're watching this, have them contact me. We'll see what we can do.
Nice. All right. That'd be exciting. I mean, who doesn't like a giveaway, especially, you know, the holiday time of the year it's going to be especially fun. And, you know, I was just thinking that, I don't know if anyone's ever tried this, but I was thinking of doing this season with my recently found budgie who has taken over my household, of doing an advent calendar for him. And so I was going to try a little, you know, I have one of those pre-bought ones where you have little drawers, you know, and you could put something in for each day of the year. But I was going to try to do a different, a new treat for him to try, because I'm not sure what his preferences are. I don't know if I can come up with 25 of them, but I might do a 12-day one. But yeah, so something fun to do, consider doing with them.
It's a cute idea.
So, like, what would you recommend for a gray if you're going to do your an advent calendar for your gray?
Well, I would probably not specifically have a big calendar, because they would probably be a little freaked out with the size of it. So I might do maybe individual little boxes that I take away from the calendar, yes, so they know. I mean, every bird's an individual. I have certain birds that love walnuts. I have certain birds that love cashews. Others won't touch them. So, you know, it's really going to be an individual thing, and I'd have to have 5 little things of each in that little box to see who likes one. So, but I have noticed that, you know, Abigail tends to like, with her music, she is very exaggerated when it comes to female Christmas songs. I don't know why, but she starts whistling and dancing and carrying on. So experiment with that music too and see what the birds like.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine hearing Christmas songs all year long, or holidays?
Exactly. I kind of stop that. Yeah, every once in a while I'll ask Google to play something for me, because, you know, Abby appears to need a little pick-me-up, but it doesn't matter what female, doesn't matter what song, she just really seems to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I was imagining, like, you know, your gray, or, you know, whatever a bird you have would, like, pick up the song and, like, repeat it on repetition.
Well, they're all starting to whistle Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. So wow. One will start and everybody else starts going.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then, you know, it'd be a great nutcracker if they have a parrot nutcracker, because, you know, like, I want to know if that exists, because that would be an awesome gift for a bird lover, right?
Right. I have not seen anything like that, but who knows?
Gosh, if I can find one of those, I don't know, I'll look. But I'd love to, like, show it off on our December giveaway, because, I mean, come on, birds, they crack walnuts with their beaks, right? So if you had some parrots, right? Not all of them, of course, but right. I'm going to before we get on to, like, our giveaway, because we have a giveaway today of Lafeber product, and that's going to be the classic NutriBerries. But I just wanted to give everyone a heads up of what we have coming. Let's see, in the rest of November, where do we have here? We have, so next week we got the Avian Vet Insider, which would be the familiar and the rare bird species that avian vets have treated, and that was with Dr. Lamb. And then we have another episode of Ask the Vet with Dr. Tom Tolley, November 19th. So let's see. So Lisa, thank you so much for going over the holiday safety tips. That is something that we can all take into the holiday season to make sure that our flock is safe and happy. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I am going to announce today's winner, and that is Nan N. Congratulations. You're going to be receiving a bag of the Lafeber Classic Nooch Berries. And let me do a I'm going to try this screen share. Let's see how this goes as we do our end credits here. Let's see if this goes well. Crossing fingers. Okay, oop, there's calculator. Can you see that? Here we go. Okay. Okay, these are the classic Nooch berries. This is what everyone, a lot of people think of when they think of Lafeber products. This is just a tried and true healthy bird food for your parrots. And also, Nan, you're also going to get you can also have another package of Lafeber's foods of your bird's choice, and the Lafeber office will reach out to you next week to send that out to you. So Lisa, once again, thank you again for today's presentation on holiday safety, and we will see you back in December for that holiday giveaway. I'm sure everyone's going to want to join in that because, come on, who doesn't like a giveaway, especially when it's something to do with their birds? So.
Right, you have to be in it to win it.
You got to be in it to win it. There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone have a great and safe weekend. And in the meantime, until next time, all the best to you and your flock. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.